Hello and welcome to another I can already tell it's going to be spicy, so you better like sit down and buckle up and get ready for a ride of your life. Welcome to the
We're
Big
fucking
Money,
doing this today.
Welcome to the Big Money Stylist podcast. I am Danielle. This is Ani Rivera, my co-host. We've been doing this podcast for like 2 years.
3, I think.
3 years. And we still have students that go back. They're like, oh, I listened to an old podcast and it really spoke to me today. And I'm like, cool. So you know what? If you are feeling like you're like, I need to like binge listen, we invite you to binge listen because every week I'm like, what are we going to talk about? And I honestly try to like, I call it the pocket, but I try to like plug in like what does the universe need to source through me so that others can hear and that it can help. Like honestly, I mean not to like talk all churchy or like godlike, but I feel like when you can be open to whether you want to say God, universe, Jesus, like whatever it is, if you can be open to delivering a message and like receiving it, I believe like that's like it flows. You know when you feel like you're in flow and like someone's like I needed to hear that and you're like I didn't even know I was going to say that, but I was tapped in and I just did it. So let's talk.
Do you know what I think is interesting to jump on that for 10 seconds is even sometimes when I feel like, you know, like when you get a message and you're like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
It's a test of faith.
Yeah. And then sometimes you're just almost kind of like, I feel like, because it's happened to me where sometimes I'm like, I just have to sit in it and be like, okay, I know now is not the time, but I can feel it coming. I know it's coming.
Yeah.
So that happens too. Those are kind of stressful places.
Sometimes I'll like think of, like it'll be like, you should do this or call this person or text this person. Like that makes no sense. And then sometimes I'm like, like it'll pop back up again. And I'm like, all right, it popped back up again. I should probably like reach out to this person or text this person or like whatever it is. And then like every time, like I don't even know why I question it anymore. Because every time something like that happens, that they're like, oh my God, like, yeah, thanks. I'm like, okay, cool.
Well, I remember even before I started educating with you that I had a feeling for years before, like I should be educating. I'm going to educate. I want to. And I'd actually tried with like a different company. I tried with Paul Mitchell, but I was like, I didn't like feel it.
Yeah.
It wasn't it. It like didn't land for me, but I knew like it's almost like I saw myself on stage somewhere.
But you were called to like
educating.
Make a difference. It wasn't just like educate. Do you know
Absolutely,
what I mean?
yeah.
You deep down knew you know what's so funny is sorry if I'm being really churchy, but like I was raised LDS and they do what's called a patriarchal blessing, which is like, it's almost like a foreshadowing. It's like they give you like this really long night. It's like a 20-minute blessing, I swear. And they type it out and then you keep it and it says like, a lot of people have been like, oh my God, it like told my future and this and that. Anyways, I don't remember anything about my patriarchal blessing other than it saying, you're gonna have the opportunity to teach thousands, to teach many. Like you're gonna like that's your calling. And I was like, I don't want to be a teacher because this is like when I was like 18. I was like, that's stupid. I don't believe this. And then now I'm like, oh, that's cool. So you know.
You're like, this is stupid. Sorry.
And now I'm like, oh, I love teaching. It's probably my favorite thing to do.
It is really fun. I had an interesting moment. We actually just finished doing 3 trainings in a row. You weren't at the last one, but had a very interesting moment.
Yeah, what happened?
I called a student a coward.
I feel like so, it's South. I leave and you're just like, F you coward. Like,
nah, man. Here's exactly what happened. Look, we were having a discussion of we were walking these students through essentially a program on like, here's the marketing. Here's what you need to do to get the clients that are the NBR clients that are happy to pay you $2,000 to $3,000. All you have to do is your marketing. That is all you have to do. And the crazy part is I created 90% of their marketing. So it's already made.
They
just
have to put it
post
out there.
it. All you have to do is do it. And one girl, she's tough. You can tell she's tough. She's from New York and kind of has like very like New York attitude. Mm-hmm. And so I asked her, I said, I'll call her Sally, so I don't like call her out by name. So I was like, Sally, I was like, okay, catch me up. Where have you been this past week? And she was kind of like, well, I didn't really like post anything except for once. And I'm already like, oh, inside I'm just like, And I said, okay, why? And she's like, I don't even know where to put them. I'm so booked and I'm too busy. And I was like, stop. I literally was like, stop. I go, stop. What is it that you're so busy with? And she's like, well, with haircuts and color. And I was like, stop. Okay, haircuts. How much
I hate that excuse. You know, that's my biggest pet peeve when somebody goes, I'm too busy. I'm like, you're not prioritizing what's going to get you ahead. Cool.
I can literally feel my blood boiling. I was so not even mad, but like I wanted to shake her and like smack some sense into her. Yeah. I wanted to smack sense into her. And I told her, I said, okay, so how much are you charging for a haircut? She's like, well, if it's an easy one, dry, like 65. If not, it's like, maybe 150, 200. I go, cool, I'll say 150. I go, do you not understand? I go, for you to make the same amount as you would as with an NBR client, you have to do 20 haircut appointments. I said, what are you fucking thinking?
Yeah.
I'm like, you
What
are
are you
sitting
scared
here.
of?
Well, and I told her, I go, you're sitting here and you're clinging on to everything you've ever known, which is like, I have to have more clients.
Yeah.
But you are now not making the time to get in the clients that you actually want. I go, you don't even like your business. I go, you don't even like your business, because if you did, you wouldn't fucking be here to change your business. And she goes, I know, but I go, there are no buts here. I go, there are no buts here. So we were going about it, and I finally asked her, I said, what are you hearing me say? She's like, I hear you. And I go, no, you don't.
I hate it when people are like, no, I know.
I go,
my daughter, I'm like, stop telling me you know if you're not going to do anything different.
And I told her, I go, you're hearing me, but you're not fucking listening. Yeah. I go, listen to what I'm saying. I go, and I realize I'm being hard on you. And she's like, I know, but I need it. That's why I'm here. I go, good, then fucking listen. She goes, I don't know what to do. I go, I am telling you what to do. You're not listening.
Yeah.
She goes, so you just like expect me to drop all of these? She goes, what do? I go, drop them. And she was like, and I go, yeah. That's exactly what you fucking do. And so she went on to like be like, well, you don't get it because this, because that, da-da-da. And she goes, okay. She goes, look, I just need you. I'm going to tell you what I think that I should do. But she goes, tell me if I'm just being a coward or not. And she goes, so my plan was to take a few of these and do. And I go, stop. I go, you're a fucking coward. The other people in the class were like, I could see their faces like blank, like, oh shit. And I go, you're a coward. I go, you're asking me a question on my opinion. You want the truth? You're being a fucking coward about it. I go, I realize this, what I'm asking is not easy of you, because I'm asking you to go against. I go, how long have you been doing hair? She's like 25 years. I go, I'm asking you to go against 25 years
of your identity.
Yes, of what you think you know.
Yeah.
But it's fucking wrong. So
But that's the thing. I sometimes find, like, the more, I call it seasoned, the more seasoned an artist is, an entrepreneur is, the more they're like, they seek for help, but they lack they won't take your advice. And you're like, well, you know you need help, but you're too stuck in your ways and your identity to actually submit. And submission is part of the process of growth. Like, it just is. And it's frustrating for me too, because I hate when people even speak to you and I, they're like, you don't get it. I'm like, I don't fucking teach from La La Land. I fucking teach what I lived and what I learned to become who I am and where I'm at. So I can speak to you directly with where you're at. I need you to understand I've been with where you're at.
And that's even what I told her. I straight up said, I go, I realize right now I sound like an unsympathetic bitch. And you're right, because I am. Because when I started this shit back in 2016, I had no help. I had no extra trainings. There was no academy. There was no mastermind. There was no fucking help. I had to figure it out myself. But guess what? I wanted it. I go, do you guys not understand that only 20% of people make it? When people start a program, 20% is the national average to make it through. Because I go, I can give you all of the tools and all of the skills and all of the marketing and the fucking hair, but if I want it more than you, it doesn't work.
That's the hard thing too, because like with what we have going on right now, like it's an investment for me in my business. Like I literally like, I don't know.
It's $150,000 investment
into a small group of students inside my academy. And it's because I'm like, okay, I want them to get better, faster results. What can I do? Well, I'm going to invest back into my students. And so we created this challenge for them to come do it. And so I'm kind of like, holy shit, not only am I putting in the extra trainings, but I invested $150K back into you guys. You're like, come on, like that's risky for me, but I believe in you so much, but I can't believe in you more than you're going to believe in yourself. So please don't prove me wrong. And you know what? You can't drag people through like some people you can't. Like some people, like you need to nail into them. And sometimes there's pivotal conversations where they're like, thank you, Ani. Like, thank you. I needed that kick in the ass to really like wake me up. And then some people you're just like, there's some people I'm like, why are you still here? Like, but I can't say that. I like, there'd be like years in the program. I'm like, why are you still here? It's like paying
what
a personal.
Are you doing?
It's like paying a personal trainer with no results. There's no reason. And at that point, sometimes we've had to let students go because I'm like, not only are you not doing anything, but you're dragging other people with you, and I will not have it inside of my academy. Like I can't. Either you're on the path to fucking figure it out, or you're not, and that's okay. But that's not what I'm about, and that's not what I preach and teach.
And that's why it's so frustrating to me because, and to be clear, she's not the first student that has said that, which is why I think it like low key makes my blood fucking boil. Cause I'm like, at the end of the call, I told her, I said, to be clear, Sally, I was calling my name. I said, but to be clear, Sally, I said, I understand you're afraid right now. I just saw your son walk past. You have a house. You told me you have multiple businesses. You own a salon where it's booth rent. Because I said, I go, get rid of your clients, like your haircut clients. And she's like, but then I won't make any money off them. I'm like, who gives a fuck? You're going to have clients that pay you thousands. And even then, it was so funny to me. She goes, but you have to understand, when I do color, I make X amount hourly. I go, yeah, and you by doing the math, you're not making that with MBR. And she goes, yeah, because you're slow.
Yeah.
I go, you've been doing color for 25 years and you're expecting to be as quick at a brand new method that's hard as you are with color. You've been in it for 25 years. She goes, well, no, I'm not. I go, I'm sorry. I go, look, I did this with no one in the beginning. You have so much help. I go, I am unsympathetic. I didn't want to be poor, so I busted my ass to be at a 3-hour mark.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. And that's why we even teach inside the academy, like strategic color placement. Your clients are not paying you for 175 foils. They're paying you for an outcome. Like, period, the end. So, like, how can you give them the best outcome? And I don't want 175 foils in my hair ever.
No.
I have fine, fragile hair. You'll fry the shit out of my hair. I would rather pay you more to give me a better outcome and protect the integrity of my hair. So it's so crazy because in our industry, it's totally opposite. And I remember, like, when I literally was poor, had no money, selling shit out of my house, I was like, okay, it's a fucking numbers game. I'm like, women in our industry, they're bragging to me about like, oh, I'm charging $2,000-$3,000 for extensions. I'm like, cool, how many did you have last month? I had 3. I'm like, yeah, 3 in a whole month. How long did it take you that install? It took me
10
all
hours.
day. And I'm like, so you made $40 an hour, like whatever the math was, And I was like, that's ridiculous. So I started like really thinking about it. I was like, okay, number one, I have anxiety thinking about going to have my hair done, personally done for 10 hours. Like
I won't do it.
I don't want to do it. And if I do it, if it's 10 hours, then I'm like, I don't want to get my extensions tightened I'm going to have to go like 6 months. Like I used to do these single glue-in ones, on my own hair.
Yeah.
And they would say, they're like, oh, you can go like 4 to 5 months. So I'm like, okay, I can justify the 10 hours sitting there, right? But after having those in my hair for that period of time, when they're taking them out, I'm like, I'm bald. I am bald. Nothing can sit in your hair for 4 to 6 months without fucking destroying it. And I was like, this is bad. Like everything that's done and taught in our industry with extensions is fucking backwards. Like I can't even handle it. So it wasn't even like, oh, I created MBR. Like I created a system like that I really feel like it's put a divot in our industry, whether people like know it or not. Like I feel like I made hand-tied hair extensions cool. Like literally. And it was kind of like, it kind of came down to, like you said, like you have to be fast. And I was like, okay, if I do strategic color placement, if I can get the most amount of hair on the maximum rows, and I started doing it in 3 hours.
Same.
And I had a beautiful outcome and I was like, wow. And that's when like a light bulb went off for me because I was like, if I'm a paying client and I can get twice the result in 3 hours, fuck yeah. I was like, I'll pay you triple.
I'll pay
care.
way more.
Even when I didn't have money, I'm like, I value my time and I value hair. Like I will pay 3 times as much as if you can give me a better outcome in a fraction of the time. Like I just will.
I just think and we've talked about fear before, but she's so stuck in the mentality of like, I have to keep everything I have because I have full books, but full books doesn't mean success. And this is weirdly the third time.
That's how artists determine their success though.
Well, and this is weirdly like the third time I've said this today, and I'm going to say it again. Choose your hard. Choose your hard. What do you, life isn't easy. Anyone who says that is, they're fucking full of shit. Life is not easy. So what do you want to be hard? Being poor and not making money is hard.
But sometimes it's comfortable, Ani.
You know what? No, it's not. I'm so sorry. Look, no one can convince me that being stressed about if you can pay your mortgage, pay for your kids' school, buy them new shoes, put food on the table, pay for the car. No one can tell me that's comfortable.
You know when I was broke out of my mind and literally like I would tell myself, I'd be like, oh, I just need to be grateful.
Yeah, no, I'm not fucking doing that. So, but what I'm saying is I am very grateful actually for everything I have.
No, I'm just saying, but like I realized that was an excuse later and that I just needed to bust my ass.
Yeah, so choose your hard. Being poor is really fucking hard. Also, building a business and being successful is hard. So which hard do you choose? Like the
one that'll give you a better outcome.
Yeah, well, you can't have both. But what I'm saying is people forget about the outcome because they get so stuck in, but it's hard, but I'm uncomfortable. Okay. So then that's okay. So at this point, you're choosing your own fucking outcome. If you are choosing that you don't want to do marketing, that you don't want to put time into it, that you don't want to put intention into it, that you're too scared to move, then you are choosing to stay in a place that is more painful because you're deciding that it's better to never even try. And that's what's mind-blowing. You would rather not try and say, I don't know if it's ever going to work, than not even try at all.
I think I remember being in a place in my career where feeling so overwhelmed that, like, if you were to bring a new concept to me, I'd be like, I can't. I have no more room in my capacity for any kind of new concept or idea because I'm already overwhelmed with the shit I'm doing with. So if that means I have to do something as simple as, like, do daily 4, number one, I'm going to be like, it's way too fucking easy. I don't believe you. You're full of shit. And I wouldn't do it, right? And then the second thing is I would just stay in this place of, like, it's too scary over there. And I can't handle any more on my plate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, if I already am overwhelmed, even if somebody's trying to introduce a new concept that could ultimately help free up more abundance for me, I'm already tapped, right? I'm already like tapped. I'm like, I don't have time for any more. So that's why we hear that excuses, because people think that around the corner to success means that you have to give up more time that you don't already have. Listen to that. You have to give up more time that you don't already have. But in reality, it's the opposite. If you're willing to surrender, if you're willing to submit, it actually will give you more freedom in your life to create whatever you want.
But no one thinks of it that way because they're just so fucking scared. They're scared and then looking at the wrong thing. And fear is so utterly paralyzing. Like, it truly is. It is so paralyzing, but you have to be able to move past it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my frustration with students comes some days where I'm like, I don't understand. We are literally giving you everything. I wish I had this when I started, but I didn't. I had to figure it out on my own. Yeah. So now you have someone who created it, who figured it out on her own. You have another person who's lived it basically since day one, and for a year had to figure it out on my own before I actually joined the program. Like, we've already shown the path to success. How dare you look at it and say, well, that's not going to work? It does work. It's been proven. Yeah. You're just too afraid to fucking look at it. It's like watching a scary movie when people are like, oh my God, and they cover their eyes, but then they peek out of their hands, then cover them again, then peek out. Stop peeking out. Just remove your fucking hands and do what you have to do.
You know, it's cool too, though. Like, I've even learned a ton by watching other students implement certain things that we teach them. So that's what's so cool to me is, like, I'll teach them something simple and I'll watch them do it and maybe even make a spin on it, whether it's with their marketing or whatever it is. I'm like, that worked really well. Let's do that, right? So I feel like it's a collaborative process of, like, I'm learning from teaching you guys and vice versa. And honestly, it doesn't sound crazy. I'm sure it doesn't sound crazy, but I feel like as a whole, our academy and everybody's just kind of in this, like, upward motion together, right? Oh, yeah. And it's just like it's so, I get, like, so geeked out even, like, watching what we were teaching 2 years ago compared to how we're teaching it now, the speed in which our students are having the results. Like, looking at their photos today based off, like, the trainings that we've been doing. I was like,
I fucking tell you.
This is stuff they didn't experience until they were, like, 8 months into the program. 2 weeks of training? Are you fucking kidding me?
So good.
But it's like testing stuff like that. You're like, this goes into the program every single time because I'm very results driven based on the success that my students do, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. I know there's a lot of certification classes you can take out there. I personally think, like, that they're just looking for a certification and they're just in it to make an extra buck. I don't fucking care. I got money. I built shit. I'm good. Like, I could just ride this out and, like, make some money, but I actually care if my students win. Like, that fuels me more than anything.
Well, and that's why I know I can be hard on the students. I know I can. And guess what? I'm never going to stop. Like, I'm really not, because at the end of the day, I see who they could become, and I see that they have so much potential that is untapped, or I feel like just under the surface, like just below the fear, just below the stress, just below their own disbelief, I see who can they become. So if I have to jump in and splash those fucking water around and break some walls down, I'll do it. Honestly, this student, like, she might be a little bit mad at me at first. I'm okay with that. You can be pissed at me. You can dislike me. As long as I know you're getting results, I'm okay. But you know what? That's also, that mentality I feel has also not, like, saved me these past few years, but guys, being a trainer is a fucking thankless ass job. Like, some days it really is.
It's like being a mom.
Bro, I can't say I know, but if it's anything like this, damn. Because really, I feel that I pour so much out into them. And I've seen this happen a few times where students are like, wow, thank you. You've helped me. This is amazing. And then something happens in their life that literally,
You're like, you're a dick, honey.
yeah, like things that literally, and I only know it's this way because I've had quite a few students come forward and apologize to me like years later.
You always have to take the higher road.
Fuck, man. But literally one day they're like, thank you, Ani, I love you. And the next they're like, she's a fucking bitch. I almost said a different word. She's a real C word. She's the worst human ever. She's a piece of shit. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. But I put myself in a place of like, you know what? I'm not going to apologize for believing in you. Yeah. I will not apologize for pushing you. I will not apologize for expecting the best out of you that I know you have in you. I am never going to apologize for pushing you to be the best version of you that you can be. You might not like me in the moment, but also don't get it twisted. I see the results you're having in your life and you're fucking welcome, and I will keep pushing you.
But I will say there might be students, and I feel like this kind of like applies to my kids, where you're like, they're like, fuck it, you guys are dead to me. And part of me is like, okay, you have a different path. Like, you might, and that's why I would always tell you, like in the beginning when we first started educating, I'd be like, you're dead to me, you're never back again. And now that was aggressive, but now I'm kind of at this place where I'm like, okay, your path took 5 years and other people's path took 3 years and some people's path took 1 year, some people's like 7 years. Like, I don't know what your path is. And maybe you go discover something crazy cool about yourself and then you come back and like everything's about timing in life. So like as much as I want to be like, oh, you're dead to me, screw you for not liking my program. I'm like, cool, you got to do you. You got to do what you feel like is right for you and your family in that moment. And in the future, I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep doing my thing. And if in the future you're like, shit, okay, I need to come back. Like, I'm like, doors open. Unless you're a total fucking C word, then you're never, just kidding.
And for me, no, we're not. We're not. I don't know, we're not, actually.
I only have like, maybe,
you know what, though?
I only have like 2 people that I'm like, you're never allowed.
That's only, and to me, it's not even, because it's to me, it's not even like, I don't have the mentality of like, you're dead to me. I have with a few people, not even like you're dead to me, but it's like,
I don't know, it's not you're dead to me. I'm like, you're on the crazy train.
Well, for me, there's no added benefit of you being in my life. Yeah. And if there's no added benefit to me and my mentality and my space and my energy of you being in my life, then you're out. And I am very black and white with that. You are either in with me or you are out. And the moment I'm like, every time I'm around you, shit goes sideways. It's dark. It's black. I don't feel good. You are out. When I cut, I'm a severe cutter. Wait, hold up.
That sounded bad.
When I cut, you're out. You're just out of my life.
I will say that you and Katie are better about, because I feel like I'm a sucker sometimes. I gotta be honest. I'm like, it's fine. Like, we're fine.
I think what's hard for you is people act so differently around you.
That's true. Because I'll be like, no, they're good. They don't.
Like, no.
You're like, no, they're crazy.
No. But that's why even for me, when previous students have left and they've been like, Ani's the worst, fuck her. I'm like, at first, like, it does hurt. Like, it did hurt in the beginning. Now I've come to a place where I'm like, it's cool, man. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Different paths.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I said, I've had many students come back and like call me and text me and apologize and be like, I'm literally being like, I'm sorry for what I said. It had nothing to do with you. This is what I was going through in my life. And I'm like, you know what? It takes a really big person to do that. So thank you so much for sending that to me. Like, we're cool. Like, no harm, no foul. I just know when I do things, I'm putting my all into it. So whether it's training the student or creating curriculum or like hot seats at classes, it doesn't matter. I want the best outcome for the students. And so if that means sometimes that I know I have to be the bad guy in that, I'm okay with that. And I've accepted it. Same with the student today when she was like, just tell me the truth. Am I being a coward? I was like, just stop. Yes, you are. Good. Number one, here's my rule in life. If you ask someone for their opinion,
don't be upset.
Ooh, yeah. If you ask for an honest opinion, you're going to get it. If you don't like it, you shouldn't have fucking asked for it if you couldn't handle it. So, but that's my big thing is I'm going to keep pushing and I'm not going to apologize for it because I know at the end of the day, all I want is the best for these students and their lives and their businesses and their kids. And sometimes that requires a kick in the ass.
Yeah. And it's so crazy too. And I don't know if you feel like this, but for me, when there's been times where I'm like, I can't do it. It's too scary. Like, I'm not going to do it. And not every moment is going to feel like that, you guys. I think in the beginning, when you, like, the quicker you kind of surrender to something being like, this is really painful, honestly, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Like, your capacity goes up. And now it's like, when there's something big and scary, like, I had a situation happen this weekend. I bawled my eyes out for a couple hours. And, like, it's fine. But I know that we're not handed anything we can't handle, like, honestly. And in the past, I would have been like spiraled and been like, hey, life's over, you know? And I think that's where we get sometimes, like, honestly, like we think of something and our mind goes to like, well, if I drop clients and then I do this, what if it doesn't? And we just spiral, right? But the minute we actually take these like painful leaps, you get through it and you're like, okay, it wasn't as painful as I thought. Was it hard? Yeah. But it makes every hard decision you make in your life seem a little bit less scary because you know your strength. And I feel like I'm at this place in my life where like I'm still very much me.
Absolutely.
But I sometimes forget how much I've gone through as an individual, as a mom, as a business owner, being married to my husband, Garrett, who's a very strong personality.
What?
I think of myself as just like really sweet and like feminine and like dainty, but I'm very strong. Like, I think I don't give myself enough credit for the things that I've gone through. So when I hit a wall and I cry my eyeballs out, I'm like, you fucking got this. I'm like, okay. I have to like
get it together.
I literally am like, okay, you cried it out. You're fine. Like, you got this. And I have to like almost like remind myself who I am and what I've gone through. And when I have those moments, I'm like, it doesn't matter if I don't have a clear path. I know that I've gotten through shit before, and I know that everything's happened, that nothing is thrown your way that you can't handle. It's literally, and things will keep getting thrown at you until you like figure it out.
Well, I even asked the student, and at the end of the call, I was like, I know you're afraid, and I get it. I said, but at the end of the day, you need to have a little more faith in yourself.
Yeah.
I go, are you going to let yourself drown? She goes, well, of course not. I go, then have some faith in you.
Yes.
I go, you might not trust the program. Clearly, you might not trust me or Danielle, but
trust yourself.
You need to have some faith in yourself that you are, when it comes to sink or swim, you're not going to fucking sink because you're not going to allow yourself to sink.
And you know what? She does at some level, there's certain levels of trust within yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, like when people come to our program, we're not like a normal, like, hey, learn a hand-tied hair extension system. Like, we're like, hey, let's fucking blow you up and let's make you some money and change your world. Because as much as people say money doesn't affect how I live and operate, like, it does. Like, it does. And so I want to help people succeed in life to create abundance for them, their families, and anybody else around them. And it's just, it's just crazy because we get to this place where it's like sink or swim. And it's like she must have trusted herself at some level. Otherwise, she wouldn't be in the academy, right?
For sure.
And so you got to just keep trusting yourself, you guys. Like people get into like a business. A lot of entrepreneurs, they have these ideas and this, like they're like, I need to start this and do this. And they start and then they're like, stop trusting themselves and they give up too quickly. And I always tell people, I'm like, the reason that I've had the success that I have had in my business is because of my consistency. Like, I'm 10 years into my brand, and the first like 2 years was good. Then like 3 to 5 was rocky. Then like 6, I was like, fuck. And then like 7, 8, I was like, let's sell this shit. And then it was like, it turned a corner. And like, my consistency, my level of commitment based on course correcting along the way is what has given me massive results in my life. That's all I got. That's just all I got.
You have to trust yourself at some point. And maybe you're on the other end where you're like, you know what? I don't trust myself. Well, then trust the people that you're hiring to get you there. Like, really. And what you just said about that money is a motivator. Of course it is. Even me, I still have a lease in my house for like another 3 years. I'm already looking at the house I want to buy and I found it.
I told you, I go, that's what you got to do. You got to entertain every possibility because then you have a goal that you know you're working towards.
Oh, and let me tell you, and I can do quick enough math and I already know I can't afford it yet. And that's okay. Like, based on income wise, I know. Like, it's based on what it is and how much I would have to pay. I'm also not a dumbass. I can do some fucking math. I'm pretty fucking good at it. So I did math and I'm like, okay, maybe not yet. But then that also puts me in a place of like, okay, so
what
then
does this look like?
What does it look like? How much more money would I have to make? How much would I have to save? What would this look like? What if there were 2 income? You know, even things like that. But I found this house about a week ago on Zillow. I pull it up 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Just sometimes scroll at it. I even talked to our CFO about it. I was like, hey man, take a look at this house, you know, because blah, blah. And he's like, well, I have some ideas. I was like, okay, just asking, just throwing. He actually said some very clever things.
Of obsession.
You know what? But here's, to be clear, I'm not obsessing to the point where I'm like, fuck my current house. I hate it. I love my home.
You just have a goal and something to work towards.
Yeah. Like, I love my current home. I'm obsessed with the aesthetic, where it is. I love it. But I saw this house and something was like,
But you know why? You know why you felt that way? Because you're like, you gave yourself permission, like that could be you. So I love that feeling because it's not like, oh, I hope this could be me one day. It's almost like you have a moment where you see yourself in that house and you're giving yourself permission to have that kind of success. I've had so many people in my life tell me like, oh, Danielle has this ability to will things her way. And I'm like, you can fuck off. I don't will anything my way.
Nothing's luck.
Nothing is luck. I'm like, I get an idea in my mind and I'm like, what does that look like? And I'm kind of quiet and people don't know it, but I start kind of, low-key obsessing while being like loving where I'm at, but like kind of like, well, what does that look like? Well, how do I get there? And then like people are always surprised when things happen. I'm like, oh, I was looking at that house for 5 years ago. Like,
yeah. And that's why even I was like laughing because our CFO, he's fucking brilliant. He's so good with numbers, obviously. But even then I was like, well, if this is what I make now, if I made this much more, if I did this, he's like, well, based on this year's goals, if we hit this goal, that means, and I'm like, that does mean this for me. So like now even I'm entertaining the thought, is it kind of scary? Yes. This house though, like I've seen a lot more expensive houses, obviously.
But once you get there, it's way more doable than you think.
Yeah.
And that's how life works. People always think like, oh, this is so far in the future. Like for me, I'm always like, maybe 10 years from now that'll happen. And then it happens sooner than you think. And once you're there, like, yeah, it's kind of scary, but all of a sudden your old scary becomes the new normal.
Well, and then even because obviously I'm in a lease for 3 years, even then I was like, I wonder what I have it all planned out in my head. I already know if this house becomes doable sooner than I think it will, like sooner than the 3 years of my lease. I'm already like, okay, here's the email that I can draft to my current landlord and tell him, here's why we have to leave. Like, I got a plan. I have an exit plan for my current place, an entry plan for the new place.
You know what I'll tell you too, Ani? This is crazy, but sometimes it might not even be that specific house. It could be that neighborhood. It could be that ideal. It could be that price point, but you've given yourself permission to have that level of abundance and success that now other opportunities and doors might open. And I always say, like, doors don't open unless you're ready. So if you don't have that house, but it's another one, the other opportunity wouldn't open if you didn't do the work to prepare yourself for this door, right?
Absolutely.
So that's like a principle in life that I've learned. Like, you don't get big breaks. Doors don't just fucking open. You reverse engineer and you figure out the steps in between to get your actual tangible goal. And if that one doesn't work, guess what? You've done the work.
So guys, we are coming to the end of our podcast. This was a spicy one, but it was fun. So
I started all churchy and then I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, so you almost dropped the C word. You started with church and ended in not church. So we are currently sold out of all of our events for 2021, but we do have a surprise event coming this fall. If you want to be on the email list to be the first to be notified, go to nbr.education and put your email in there because tickets will be going on sale for 4th of July and there will be more information coming out.
This will be the last opportunity for 2021 to
Literally,
learn NBR.
We have one event left.
It's so crazy. We even had students come to our classes this year and they're like, oh my God, so I did this event and I did this, and then they're finally like, I'm back for more. So people follow. It's not like some people follow for like years. I'm like, so don't miss. Our schedules are so full. We put a ton of time and attention into the academy. So when we do an invitation to the public, like it sells out fast. So make sure that you're on that email list because we always announce everything to our email list and then we move over to social media.
So guys, have a wonderful day and we'll see you next week.